The world you live in is not as free as you think. You wake up every day believing you make choices, but most of those choices are designed for you. You follow routines, pay bills, use services, consume content, all within invisible structures you rarely question. And these structures weren't accidental. They were designed. They were perfected by men who understood that the most absolute power does not come from force or fear. It comes from control. Control so subtle, so all-encompassing, that it becomes almost invisible. One of the first and most important architects of this modern system was John D. Rockefeller. Rockefeller's genius was not merely in wealth creation, it was in system creation. While others chased quick gains, he studied leverage. While they saw opportunity, he saw networks, dependencies, and pipelines. He understood a truth that remains inconvenient for most people today. Wealth alone does not create influence. Influence comes from being essential. Power comes from becoming so deeply embedded in the systems people rely on that life without you becomes unimaginable. In the mid-1800s, America was a land of chaos and opportunity. Railroads crisscrossed the continent, industries sprouted overnight, and the demand for energy was exploding. Oil, at the time, was a new resource, unrefined, unpredictable, but full of potential. Entrepreneurs rushed to drill wells, chase crude, and hope for immediate profits. Rockefeller saw a different path. He did not chase the raw oil. He chased control over its transformation and distribution. He realized that refining oil was the point where power and permanence intersected. By controlling refineries, pipelines, and transportation agreements, he could dictate who survived and who failed. This was the birth of Standard Oil, but not just as a company. Standard Oil was an invisible architecture of dominance. Rockefeller didn't just build refineries, he built a system that competitors could not escape. Railroads gave him secret rebates, cutting the cost of transport far below what competitors could achieve. Suppliers became dependent on his volume and scale. Small competitors either joined him or vanished. By the time the public noticed, Standard Oil controlled over 90% of the nation's oil refining capacity. But Rockefeller's brilliance wasn't just in creating a monopoly, it was in understanding human psychology and systemic influence. He knew that fear alone was temporary. People resist oppression, revolt against tyranny, and fight when forced. But dependency is different. People will tolerate constraints, follow rules, and even defend systems they rely on, if the system appears necessary, convenient, or inevitable. This insight allowed Rockefeller to dominate without overt coercion. His power was quiet, invisible, and enduring. The breakup of Standard Oil in 1911, often cited as a triumph of competition, was largely symbolic. The company split into several smaller entities, yet each continued to dominate the global oil market. Rockefeller's real legacy was not wealth. It was a blueprint for systemic power. A blueprint that would outlast him, scale globally, and survive technological revolutions, political upheavals, and societal change. This blueprint can be traced in today's world. Look at the tech giants. They don't merely sell products, they control ecosystems. Platforms dictate access, visibility, and reach. Banks and financial institutions don't just store money, they determine who can move capital and who cannot. Even infrastructure, pipelines, shipping, communications, follows the same invisible logic Rockefeller used. It's not about brute force, it's about invisibility, necessity, and dependency. And the most dangerous part? People defend these systems, believing they are essential for progress, efficiency, and freedom. Rockefeller's story also reveals a critical lesson about time and patience. He understood that true power accumulates slowly. Short-term wins mean little. Competition can be fast, clever, or innovative, but a system that endures is designed over decades, built step by step, and calibrated to absorb shocks. Rockefeller's patience allowed him to weather economic crises, manipulate market behavior, and ensure his vision survived long after individual competitors failed. Moreover, Rockefeller's impact wasn't limited to business. His system influenced government, law, culture, and society. Regulations often emerged after his practices had already set the standard. Social norms adapted to the scale and efficiency of his operations. What was once considered aggressive consolidation became acceptable, efficient, and even aspirational. The architecture of dependency, the channels of control, the invisible rules he perfected, these all became templates for modern institutions. To truly understand Rockefeller, one must study human behavior inside systems. People often confuse freedom with choice, but choice is meaningless if every path leads to the same outcome. Rockefeller's genius was ensuring that most roads led to him, even if no one knew it. Control does not require visibility. It thrives in invisibility. It survives because it is necessary, unavoidable, and normalized. As the decades passed, his principles migrated far beyond oil. They appeared in finance, technology, global trade, education, and healthcare. Corporations today dominate because they learned the same lessons. Control infrastructure, manage dependencies, scale relentlessly, and make yourself indispensable. Governments intervene, markets fluctuate, crises emerge, yet the underlying architecture remains resilient. Rockefeller's system is adaptive, surviving through reinvention and invisible influence. Even everyday life is shaped by the same principles. When you log into a platform, swipe through a feed, or rely on a service, you participate in systems designed to channel your behavior. You may feel free, but the system sets the boundaries, determines the pace, and decides the options. You are inside the architecture, moving along paths designed for you, often without realizing it. Rockefeller's system also teaches a harsh truth about morality and ethics. Success is often applauded, while control is normalized. Dependence is tolerated, while coercion is condemned. The structures that sustain the powerful are hidden under the guise of efficiency, convenience, and necessity. Understanding this is uncomfortable because it challenges the idea that progress and freedom are the same. Progress can exist inside a cage. Freedom is an illusion if the system controls the outcomes. The most important lesson is simple yet profound. If you want to understand power in the modern world, study the systems, not the individuals. Wealth, fame, and politics are transient. Systems endure. They persist through generations, crises, revolutions, and technology. Rockefeller understood this. He didn't just chase wealth, he engineered the channels through which wealth, influence, and control flowed. This is the invisible legacy that surrounds you, guiding your decisions, shaping your environment, and influencing the world more than most people realize. By the end of his life, Rockefeller was not just a businessman. He was an architect of modern dependency. He had demonstrated the ultimate truth of human society. The most effective form of power is invisible, subtle, and systemic. And his principles did not die with him. They multiplied, scaled, and adapted. They exist in the systems you rely on today, in energy, finance, commerce, communication, technology, and governance. His genius lies not in what he owned, but in what he built that could outlive him. John D. Rockefeller is long gone, But his system is eternal. It survives because it is invisible. It survives because people cannot imagine life without it. It survives because it adapts, expands, and evolves. The architecture of control that he perfected is now global, digital, and faster than anyone could have anticipated. And the most sobering truth, you are part of it, whether you see it or not. This is his true legacy, not wealth, not fame, not direct influence, but an invisible, enduring system that shapes the modern world, a system so quiet, so subtle, and so inescapable that even today, most people believe they are free while moving along paths Rockefeller first designed over 150 years ago.